It is time for my very first StarCraft cast of 2025. May I say that this is therefore the best series of the new year? Can I call this game of the year? Maybe a little early for that. I figured that we'll start with what should be an absolute banger of a series. It's time for a best of 7 of Terran versus Zerg between two absolute channel favorites. First off, in the top right-hand corner, we have the world champion of StarCraft 2, joined by the little polar bear on the main command center. We're looking at Clem's main base. His opponent, down in the bottom left, playing with the blue Zerg drones. From South Korea, you know him, you love him, we have none other than Dark. A best of 7 series, featuring Dark and Clem. I don't really think we can start this a whole lot better, so I have already uploaded 2 videos in 2025, however, I secretly recorded those in 2024. I think I recorded those on the 30th and the 31st respectively. But anyways, doesn't matter. This is my very first cast of the new year, and I'm very excited for it. Now we're starting with this should be really good. So this particular series was actually played on the 25th of December. Absolute madman Wardi decided to host a Christmas tournament for $2,000. This was just like a single day online event. And, well, rather than a regular, like, best of 5 grand finals, this is what we usually have for one of the smaller online cups, he decided to host a $2,000 event. So the winner of this particular series, I think, gets $800, I want to say. So anyways, big shout out to Wardi for sending me over these replays. Very excited to go check it out. I've got quite a few games, actually, that I want to go over the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, stay tuned. We should have some absolute bangers now. I saw that Clem versus Dark was included. I have no idea if these games are any good, but, I mean, it's Clem versus Dark, so when you have the very best players in the world competing against each other, it is bound to be a banger. So, let's see. I can also imagine, by the way, that a lot of people didn't necessarily see the Christmas games, because most people on the 25th of December are busy doing other things. Yeah, not surprised to see Dark and Clem still playing. I can imagine they also did have things to do that day, but yeah, they decided to also participate in a little StarCraft event. May as well. By the way, I saw a tweet about this morning. Let me just go ahead and pull up the numbers, because in 2024, Clem broke one of the long-standing StarCraft 2 records of being the most earning tournament player ever. So, in 2024, Clem broke Cyril's record of $350,000 because he made $518,938 in tournament prize pools. The man made 520 grand. If we round it up a little bit, 500 in just tournament money. That does not include sponsorships, team salary, any of the rest of their, you know, other sources of income. So not bad for Mr. Clem. Not bad for a quote-unquote dead game. Obviously, a lot of that was him winning the EWC. And so far, in this particular game, he is doing a phenomenal job being an absolute jerk to Dark. Dark's been trying to make a third base now for the better part of 2 minutes. And this Reaper, while it does die eventually, has been mostly responsible for that. Dark finally does get it down, but that has been, yeah, quite a bit of a dance. Because of it, Dark is gonna have to deviate from the original plan. He could have made a hatchery over there. I don't think Clem is aware of the fact that there's no hatchery over there. Well, now he's seen the one over here, so I guess he can put 1 and 1 together. But it does mean that something here needs to be changed on Dark's side of the game, right? Like, he can't just sit here and play a macro game from here like he normally would, because the hatchery is just simply late. He doesn't have the larva income. He can't spend his minerals on, for example, queen production over there, so he needs to deviate. And apparently what we're doing is we're going for a pretty quick lair. 4 gases right now in total. Roach Warren on the back of this. We have Overlord speed. Okay. This could certainly be an Overlord drop. This could certainly be a Roach all-in. This could certainly be a dozen different things. It could also just be him droning, to be fair. But he has already made a couple of adjustments. Since he doesn't have any evolution chambers, I'm inclined to imagine that this is going to be for aggression. There's the lair done. Are we gonna morph in any dropper lords? Yep, we are. This is going to be for the queens. A private jet. Brenda can bring 3 of her friends. How cute. There is a Viking going around, a couple of Zerglings. I actually don't like this run by for Dark. Getting a free set of Zergling kills like that is actually quite sweet. Look at that, dude. The private planes are being followed by... Okay, it's a bit weird, but... Lucky here for Clem, he does have a Viking nearby, although it's not targeted upon the right Overlord there. Liberator coming in as well. I mean, it's 4 queens. I don't actually like this very much for Dark. It's very committed. Dropalord is gonna go down. I love the Liberator here. Get good target firing, quick target firing right here as well. By the Zerg player. Loses only 1 of those queens for now. He is going for a complete all-in. Now, Clem did not go for his conventional Banshee follow-up. Instead, this has been a Viking and a Liberator. He wants to go into a Medevac transition right now, and I guess with Stimpack finishing up, the base defense should be a little bit easier. But this is right before Clem really hits a power spike. Clem is playing a macro game, and at this point, yeah, he's got Stimpack. Well, at least in like 10 seconds, but he's got 8 Marines. 8 Marines for 10 Ravagers, a ton of Zerglings, a bunch of Queens here too. And this is exactly why Dark is such a crazy player, man. Upon blocking that 3rd base, Dark decided, yo, perfect. I guess I'll mix it up then if you want me to, buddy. And Dark is better in these sort of chaotic situations than basically anybody else. Now, I don't know if this is going to be enough to really push the Terran out of the game yet. It's a lot of additional bunkers. This one is going to go down. That one over there does seem to be quite nicely tucked away, but it's a lot of economical damage already, although I would say this is the bare minimum in order to justify this aggression, since there are 3 command centers in total. You do ideally want to kill a couple more. Siege Tank going to help out when it comes to the SCV killing. 24 of those space construction vehicles have now almost gone down. Still 3 Ravagers, so that's going to be enough to kill the tank. Yeah, and in the meantime, Dark is droning behind this. Plus, one nice little bonus. He's got a lot of creep. I would imagine eventually he's going to be pushed away here. Well, I'm actually not 100% sure. Clem is going to have a hard time breaking through all of this. I think you want to target the tumors, man. Yeah, he really wants to kill those Ravagers if possible, but now he's going to need another creep tumor. Command Center forced to lift off. And this is the Dark we all know and love. Yeah. Dark's very quick when it comes to thinking on his feet. A lot of players struggle in that department. Dark obviously knows he's gonna have to bring his A game. He cannot play like he would against, like, say, for example, a Hero, right? Like, especially against Hero, we see Dark make a lot of sloppy mistakes. They somehow bring the worst in one another. He's actually got to double down additional aggression. Oh yeah, we're gonna drop some Zerglings into what seems to be the main base. 29 SCVs have gone down. Yeah, Dark tends to copy, like, skill level of the players he's going up against. It's weird. You know how, like, a lot of people copy the energy of other folks that they're talking to, and you just kind of find yourself talking at this? That's basically what Dark does with his StarCraft gameplay. Like, when you play like a bit of an idiot, he's gonna play like a bit of an idiot too, but when he's going up against, well, one of the very best macro players in the world, suddenly he can face them just fine, playing the macro game. And then other times he hits supply blocks at 36 out of 36, and you're like, Dark, come on, buddy. Anyways, triple medevac drop here inside of the main base. One of the medevacs goes down. This is a nice bit of aggression here by Clem, but he was hoping for a bit more. Maybe he is going to be able to get it. Okay, so now we're going to play a macro game? Is that the plan? I think Dark will probably go for a 1-1 roach speed push. Just mass roach on the back of this. He's effectively got like 3 bases fully saturated. Not quite, but he's getting up there, and he's now got overlords to prepare as well. I think if he attacks right when these 2 upgrades are going to finish up, so +1 missile, +1 carapace, he should be in a great spot. He decides to go burrow together with tunneling claws. Okay. Well, let's see. This is normally one of those attacks that Terrans are really good at holding, because this is like the quintessential first timing attack that Zerg players learn. If you want to get better at StarCraft 2, 1-1 roach speed is the norm. That's what you play. But when you've had a pretty rough and shaky start, suddenly those very basic attacks can be turned, yeah, they can turn lethal once more. So another drop alert being morphed in. This is a great position though for Clem. Those medevacs are providing high ground vision here. Dark decides to evacuate the base. He's mostly feigning weakness here though. I don't think he wants to jump this. He's still making non-stop army. He's got tunneling claws coming. He can just tunnel units towards the opponent's siege tanks if he wants to. Clem is thinking that he's getting quite a deal right now with this hatch. But those drones that were transferred to the front were not actually workers that really needed to be mining over here. He was mostly just faking it. Big counterattack, by the way. A lot of roaches coming in. One of the siege tanks in a little bit of trouble. This is a bit chaotic. Overlord drop has also arrived inside of the natural expansion of Clem. More roaches have now made their way around the side, and that means that Clem is going to be engaging at the front, but currently his siege tanks are unsieged. Dark decides to dart back again. Natural expansion in a world of trouble, although there's one siege tank helping out. And when it comes to shooting those units over there, it can be quite nice. Enough Ravagers, though, to keep these siege tanks near the creep at bay. And I've got a feeling that Dark is going to be able to clean all of this up with relative ease. I mean, an additional 19 SCVs go down. The third command center can be flying on down to the low ground once more, but yeah, I agree with Clem. This game is not going anywhere for the Terran. And that means that Dark wins game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on Frostline. European efficiency going up against the Korean chaos. It was a perfect example of the two separate playstyles once again. The thing is, Clem was very much so the reason why that game happened the way that it did. Dark didn't originally plan on going for example, a Queen drop or a Roach Ravager all-in follow-up, right? Like, that wasn't the original plan, but it was something he was forced into. Your Honor, he was forced into it. I mean, I guess Dark could have just played a macro game, and maybe that would have been what the European Zerg players would have done off of that, but Dark said, yo, perfect opportunity to try something a little different. Now, by the way, I've still got a bit of a cold. You may have already noticed that my voice is weirder than per usual. Honestly, it's not too bad right now. I was contemplating whether or not I should cast the best of 7 today, but I figured, no, we'll be okay. Today's not that bad, actually. I was feeling really crappy yesterday, though. I woke up yesterday. Now, in my defense, yesterday was January 1st for me. This video is gonna go up tomorrow, so yeah, I wasn't feeling all too great, but I didn't have anything to drink. I was just feeling kind of crappy. The worst thing about it, so I feel like this is a bit of a classic, right? But I barely ever get sick. Like, I don't really, but whenever I have anything, it's always my voice that has the main issues, which is like the only thing I would like to avoid. I try to take pretty good care of it, and you know, it's the first thing that always takes a beating. So yesterday I woke up and I just barely had a voice. I was trying to get my cats excited for breakfast. I was like, breakfast? Right? I couldn't talk to them. It was a bit of a meme. Today, though, I went for a little bit of a run. Starting the new year good. At least I'm trying. All right, anyways, command center on the low ground here for Clem. He's gonna go and play a 1-1-1 with, I'm assuming, a third command center, judging by the fact that there's no second gas yet. Dark is looking to go for a quick third hatch. Don't delay it for too long, Clem. I mean, we've seen this game before. Clem decided to once more block the opponent's third base. Let's see. Now I feel like you're playing with fire. Like, yes, technically this is good, but also you just did this and it went horribly wrong. There's the triple CC. If I can suggest a change right here for Clem, it would be to go into a tech lab for the starport. So rather than going Viking, cute little save. Rather than going Viking into Liberator, just go straight double Banshee. It should make the game a little bit more playable and a little bit easier to pull off. Let's see if Dark decides to do anything differently, though. So no additional gas yet. Just a single drone mining the Vespine, and double gas so far in the natural expansion is okay. This expansion, by the way, the third, is significantly quicker than it was compared to game number 1. So even though it's still delayed, it's less of a delay. So I don't think Dark really needs to make any adjustments here. But he can if he wants to. Very annoying here with the Zerglings. As 2 are being chased away, Dark sends in 2 more off of the left side. Not really that efficient of a trade, of course, when you only get a single SCV, but still better than nothing. And it's just one of those things that allows Dark to be in the driver's seat. So this is about a 4-minute lair, a little bit before that, nothing out of the ordinary. Round of Zerglings coming up right now as well, now that link speed is done. Second gas geyser. We should see a Baneling nest here in a moment. Or alternatively a Roach Warren. And by the way, Clem is gonna go into that Banshee, together with the Banshee cloaking. Thank you for making me sound smart, Clem. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, a little bit of aggression. I don't really like this from Clem. Nah. I mean, he's making the best of it, but this is still not a good trade. If you do this against Serral, Serral is gonna run away with the win. It's gonna take him another 20 minutes. But Serral is extremely dangerous. Look at the production tab there. Like 11 workers were immediately queued up. Dark did power out a lot of drones, but he also decided to immediately plant down the Nidus network. You donate a bunch of those Hellions, that Reaper early on. Serral would try to go up to 4 base saturation ASAP. Dark saying, yo, I'm gonna go and build a bunch of drones, but then instantly throw down a Nidus network. It's a different approach, but a very similar idea. You're punishing the Terran player for being a little overly aggressive in the earlier stages of the game. Clem not really achieving anything here in these early games. Nidus network goes up. Jimmy is standing on the perimeter. Mark! Okay, Mark was on lunch break for a second. The SCVs have been pulled away. There is 1 Banshee. Zergling, though, already... quite a few Zerglings, actually. Already inside of the natural expansion. More coming up. There's no wall-off done yet. Bunker desperately begins. We have a Nidus Worm way further out now. Queens were put in first. That means... Oh, ooh, okay. There are also the units that pop out first. And that means you can actually use the Queen's energy to transfuse the Nidus Worm itself. Looks like we're gonna go back into the main base, though. No vision there for Clem. No, he did have vision. He even built a bunker within range, but nothing actually close by to really shut this down. And it looks to me like Clem is getting destroyed. This is not the Clem we have come to expect over the last... Well, really like the last year. Clem has looked nigh unbeatable. Especially in this matchup. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on El Dorado. Clem. He may be a little bit too specialized in killing Serral. When he plays against the theoretical best player on the planet, Clem has got his number. So far, though, Dark... Yeah, he plays this game very unpredictably. There's obviously dozens of options. Serral pretty much always goes for the one that performs the best in an Excel spreadsheet. Dark's the type of guy to, play the roulette game or the stock market by putting all of his eggs in one basket and just going ham. Now, the thing is, he's continuously picking the right ones. How does he do it, man? How does he keep picking a red and somehow it keeps landing on the correct... yeah, it's a little... There's a little bit of randomness in there, but there's also just calculated decision making. And obviously also really proper execution. Serral tends to go for the strategies that have the highest probability of working. Dark goes for the ones that have enough probability of working. But it means that his range of options is significantly larger. And so far, this very standard style from Clem is not really working in his favor. Now, one of the themes here, though, is that the early game has been relatively sloppy by Clem. It does have to be pointed out. He's driving deep onto creep and he's hunting down drones, but then he doesn't actually achieve anything other than kill a couple of Zerglings. This is also going to be suboptimal. Beautiful movement here on the queens. He only loses the Reaper here, but that like you don't even achieve anything with 2 Hellions. You don't really kill anything with 2 Hellions anyways. When there's 4 queens over there, even trying to force your way past them, I kind of feel like it would have been better for Dark if the Hellions did slip by, because he would have been able to kill 2 of them for basically free. You can't really make moves like that very much. Now, this is El Dorado. It's the map, of course, with that golden wall and the minerals over here. Dark has decided to take up shop here at the bottom of the map. We'll have to see where Clem decides to bring his 3rd command center to. This is, by the way, a 2-1-1 opener right now for Clem. This is a lot safer. I actually quite like this. After game number 1 and 2, I do agree with Clem here in the sense that in the longer games, he is likely the favorite. And usually a 2-1-1 opener, it just gives you more units. And when you have more units, it's a lot harder to lose the game early on. So this is a Marine-based start. He did make a couple of Hellions, but it's mostly just Marines with quick Stimpak. No Banshee shenanigans or anything this time around. And well, Roach openers can be shut down with relative ease. Any sort of Roach push that really comes in usually arrives no earlier than the 5-minute mark. And at about 5:10, 5:15 or so, you should finish up Stimpak. So with that one finishing up here in the very near future, Clem is going to be able to shut down pretty much all the Roach aggression for now. Lair coming up right here for Dark. Double Evo chamber. All is not yet lost though here for Clem. Because yeah, he did lose game number 1 and 2. But it was mostly due to him being caught off guard after making mistakes. Right? Like that's what it comes down to. And I guess you can summarize all of StarCraft like that. But we have seen many games over the last year where Clem doesn't really make any mistakes at all. And he just looks pretty much unbeatable. Game number 1 and 2, maybe it was just there to show us, or at least make us believe that he is still a human. Do we take the bait? Anyways, Hellions trying to drive in, actually getting some work done. Marines do move around on the creep. Trying to target fire down one of the creep tumors or the queens, but doesn't really achieve it. 5 drones is good. Zergling speed now finally coming up after Roach speed. Is a newer build order, of course, from Zerg players. Ones that, well, this wasn't really particularly popular with the previous StarCraft patch, although it did gain a bit of popularity a year or so ago. These days, Zerglings, even though they have long been the go-to beginning for basically every single Zerg strategy, they're not really used in the same way anymore. A lot of it comes down to the queen cost and the cost of the hatchery. A couple of small steps, but they do lead to pretty significant outcomes. I like this here. Trying to be annoying. Dark already wants to go and build a hatchery over here at the 6 o'clock. At least the Hellions over there are pushed away, but he wants to be neighbors. Yeah. Can you become neighbors with Clem? Is Clem a good neighbor? He's a very calm person in real life. But then again, he's also a StarCraft player, so I can imagine he doesn't, you know, go to bed until like 6 a.m. Yeah, he doesn't like having neighbors. Gotta have to cancel that. I find it overly ambitious anyways, though. Like, onto the low ground, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Roaches are really good, though, in these straight-up engagement against Marines. They fall off the longer the game goes. But until Terran gets to about 2-2, maybe 3-3 or so. So, until about the late game, Roaches can be incredibly helpful. A couple of siege tanks here as well in the back. Keep this Zerg player honest. Second factory coming up right now together with a tech lab on it, so he can double down on the tank production. Percussive shells 2-2 has begun. Looks like Clem gets to play the longer game. Now, if Clem loses this one, it would not just be a very frustrating score, right? Because then you would have to win 4 games in a row. But it would also mean, mentally speaking, this series would become very hard. Now, this is lovely, though, for Terran. Yeah, no reason to micro out of any sort of banelings or anything like that. Just stand your ground and pick off the units. Siege tanks in the back. These are very clumped up together, but it doesn't look like there's enough biles to really finish all of this off. Reinforcing Marines do come stimming through. Ultimately, both players end up with exactly 69 workers. And some might call that pretty nice. Sorry. I noticed it. I had to point it out. Fourth command center at this point is done. Clem is gonna go into the planetary fortress over here. No? What? Absolute madman. Goes orbital command here? I think you go planetary every time. Maybe it's because he's ahead right now and he's feeling like he can get away with it, but... I mean, you can obviously not lift a planetary. You can lift an orbital, but... Jimmy is going to take control of the watchtower for a little bit. Some of the creep has been cleared away. I love, by the way, how this map always seems to change the way that the game is played. Like, the entire top section of the map has now been ignored. Players are going to have to expend their next, but... Ooh. Dark's been seeing this for a while, yeah. And he does now. Finally snipe down both of those tanks. I think Clem should have fixed that. Put a little bit of space in between. Push at the bottom of the map, though, is going a little bit better for Clem, it seems. Although there's enough Zerg as well to keep it occupied. Terran does have a nice upgrade advantage. It's not huge, but if you compare it to the Zerg's upgrades, he's got about maybe half a minute or so. Maybe a little bit more than that. That's a good timing window. Either he commits, or he goes straight 3-3 to try and see if he can build up on that advantage. 2-2 is now done. He's busy, though. Siege tank's trying to go in through once more. For base defense, 2-2 is also incredibly helpful. SCVs are pulled away for a little bit, but you can tell here that those upgrades kick in. Yeah. Every single one of those Marines takes one less damage, and every single one of their shots deals one more damage. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up very quickly, especially for fast-firing attacking units like this. Roaches do obviously benefit from upgrades too, but they're just slower as far as their attack speed goes. Clem is feeling a bit ambitious. He does fire up 3-3. He did also go for siege tank attacking upgrades. So this is the vehicle weapons. That one just finished up. Yeah, this is the Clem we all know and love. He's dancing. Some might even call him dancing. No, actually, no. Trust me, I've been to plenty of StarCraft tournaments. It is not uncommon to go to a club or whatever. StarCraft dancing. Hero Marine. Hero Marine is the ultimate StarCraft dancer. You should see his moves. Anyways, 3-3 is on the horizon. But does he even need it? Turns out no. GG gets cold. Clem dominates game number 3. Next up, we find ourselves on Whispers of Gold. Looks like Clem has managed to get his groove back. He's trying to get a little bit of, you know, this was played on Christmas Day, right? Trying to make sure he can pay for Christmas dinner and all that. I don't know what the French custom is, but French cuisine, Christmas Day, sounds expensive. I don't really know, but it sounds expensive. What's the custom anyways at that point? Like, say, how old is Clem? I think Clem is like 23. Say he goes out to dinner with his family or whatever. Is he the one expected to pay? How does this go? How does it work? When you've just had the most successful financial year of any StarCraft 2 player historically ever. It's actually kind of cool. Like, I've mentioned this before, but back when Clem first started competing at offline tournaments, I think the first time I ever saw Clem, and also Raynor play at a StarCraft tournament, was back during the WESG in Barcelona. And they were so young at the time that they couldn't travel by themselves. So they literally came with their parents. I remember Clem's dad was there. His dad still actually goes to a lot of events. His dad is a big fan of StarCraft. And it's, I believe he's also the reason, actually, that Clem started playing the game in the first place. But it is pretty cool, you know, to see, like, the whole family involved. Because, obviously, I feel like that's one of those things that's often forgotten. This goes with regular sports as much as, obviously, with esports, but maybe more so with regular sports. But you need to have a family as well that supports you. Because a lot of StarCraft players get very good when they're, like, 15, 16, 17 years old. And obviously, even if you are older and you are, quote-unquote, allowed to travel, right? Like, it can still be a bit of a hurdle. It can still be a little bit of a hurdle, too. Having a bit of a support system like that is nice. And, yeah, I can imagine that, the Desplanche family was pretty excited when Clem won the World Championships. Anyways, Lair coming up right now for Mr. Dark. Nice and quickly once more, but nothing too early. Triple CC opener here for Clem, who once more is opting to go for the 2-1-1, just like what we saw in El Dorado. So the triple CC 1-1-1 with the Banshee Liberator stuff. Apparently not a fan of it today. Instead, we're mixing it up and we're going into the good old Marines. So no more tricks here from Clem. Will we see any tricks from Dark? So far, it's a Roach Warren. So far, it's a Lair. What are his alternative options? I'm honestly not 100% sure. Because the nice thing about the builds that Clem plays is that they're good against practically everything. Terran does have that nice opportunity to go for a... this is almost like a jack-of-all-trades type of build. It's really good economically, it's good upgrade-wise, it's good army-wise. Like, it's good for basically everything. You don't really have to make a harsh decision here. The only downside of it is that it always leads you to a mid-game. So if you don't really enjoy playing a mid-game, because that requires really having a lot of skill, this is not an easy style to play. But if you do it well, you can pretty much survive anything in the earlier stages and then go from there. So Dark not really mixing it up too much. Not because he doesn't want to, but because I don't think he really can. Like, he could try and go for a really risky play and maybe like do some silly Baneling bust or something like that. Now, this is going to be a Hellbat push. Roaches are really good against this, though. Is there enough? That's the real question. Yeah, Stimpack is already hit. And this is a lovely push from Clem. Not really one that's super uncommon. Although also not one we see very frequently anymore. I'm a bit surprised Dark is this surprised by it, if that makes any sense. He has all the tools to deal with this with relative ease. Dark decided to play it relatively greedily. This Hellbat is having a grand old time. And suddenly Clem is looking like an absolute monster again. He wasn't aiming for this much damage. Nah. This is a major, major advantage right now for Clem. And while Dark can go for a big attack if he wants to, again when 1-1 finishes up, maybe he's gonna go right now. He's already droning again. I don't think he really has much of an opportunity. How many siege tanks do we have? Just the one. Okay. An eye for an eye. I mean, that was 3 SCVs for 8 drones and a whole lot of other damage. The queen losses being the most significant ones. Luckily, the creep tumors are still good. I would love to see Dark focus on spreading those forward, because he needs to get any advantage he can grab right now. Oh, he decides to go tunneling claws again. Really? Okay, so in game number 1, he went tunneling claws together with Burrow. And it kind of was a seal the deal type of move, right? Where he was so far ahead that he's thinking, yo, I can probably just force my opponent out of the game by going into Burrow and tunneling claws. That's the ability that allows the roaches to move underground. In this game, though, he's doing it whilst being behind. Which makes me believe that maybe this is like his standard right now, or maybe he just wants to start harassing with some of the roaches that he still has. Although he's making some new ones. Overall, it looks to me like he wants to go into lurkers. So hive tech together with lurkers and all the rest of it. Maybe the roaches are here to buy some time. Burrow is going to finish up in a moment. Brenda is too slow. Plus, she can never move off creep. I mean, definitely not well burrowed anyway, so she's pretty slow. +2/+2 coming up. And Hydras are on the horizon. No hive yet. Feel like we're really missing a hive. Clem dancing at the perimeter of the creep, though. And I actually kind of like it. It's forcing a bunch of Ravager morphins, which means that at the same time there's not going to be a lurker follow-up or a hive follow-up or anything like that. At this point, the infestation pit has been doing nothing. Which means that Clem can continue building up. 4th command center. Pretty late, but not too crazy. 2nd factory at the front right now coming up. We have a safety missile turret. Not for Mutas, but it's also a detector. So you can see incoming burrowed roaches like that. So roaches are one of those units that get a visual update whenever you do get the tunneling claws. I never quite understood why. But at the very least, upon seeing those gelled 90 spikes on the roaches, Clem recognized that he needed to get some form of detection here. There's a very large Terran army now moving around. This is with 1-1. It's been sharking around the map, and I don't think it's been spotted until just now. I think he can stim and go. Yeah, a little bit of move commanding here. Decides to pop those Ravagers first. One more Ravager available at the top of this fight. Picks up, gets on out of there. Barracks 6, 7, and 8 coming up right now. Double siege tank production has begun. Sensor tower at the front too. The tanks are unsieging though. He wants to kill this one little pesky little roach. And then we're gonna go. Now, this is something that Dark can hold. Vipers are coming. They're relatively late. He was delayed, of course, when it came to that hive, but he should be able to get a blinding cloud onto this army. And if he can disable the siege tanks, the Marines and the Marauders will die by themselves. Although this is still going to be close, though. Vipers still need to spawn, and they need to accumulate energy. And it looks like Clem is stepping on, the pedal right now. He is ready to go in. I wouldn't mind a little scanny scan. Yeah, a little scanny scan over here, getting rid of the creep tumors. One pesky little roach over here. I mean, there's already a pre-split right now on the siege tanks, and it looks to me that the Marines are winning the fight straight up, even without the siege tanks. We're gonna go for the lunge upgrade to the nanomuscular swell research. My caster flicks went wrong. Can't believe it. Anyways, I don't believe that is what we need, Dark. I think what we need is more stuff. I'm surprised we didn't build a lurker then. Well, blinding clouds are now an option, but the Vipers do have to come in from the right angle, and I believe they've been spotted. Oh, pop them, pop them, pop them, pop them. Okay, blinding clouds do go down, but that's the end of the Vipers too. There's still so many layers of siege tanks though, and the reinforcing units come, well, running in right now. Clem, once more, looks unstoppable. Next up, we find ourselves on King's Cove. Clem looking dangerous. That's the type of game though that we look at and we're like, huh, I don't even really know what you're supposed to do as Zerg, right? Like that's when you know Terran is styling. That's when they're having a good time. Obviously, there's lots of little things that Dark could have improved on. Individual engagements that could have gone a little bit better. Early game defense that should have gone a little bit better. Especially against like a Marine Stimpec Hellbat based push. I mean, all you really need is a couple more roaches and you'll be fine. Dark decided to prioritize the upgrades. Clem playing Ring Around the Rosie around the gas. Brenda getting a grenade thrown at her feet. He's so mean, dude. Just let him turn into a hatchery, bro. This is like the biggest moment of a drone's life. Some might call it a punishment, but I'm pretty sure it's a promotion when you get to become the hatchery. When you're the chosen one. Oh, looks like the SCV got killed on its way back. Well, looks like we're gonna get revenge as well for the SCV. Never mind. The Zerglings got their metabolic boost. They've been watching enough of their spawning pool live streams. They know what it takes. Alright. 1-1-1 again. This is what we saw Clem do in game number 1. This is what we saw Clem do in game number 2. And both of those games ended with a Zerg win. He delayed the Zerg's hatchery. And then he went for this. Now, game number 1, we had a Roach all-in. Game number 2, so game number 1 with a Queen drop, a Roach-based all-in. Game number 2, he went for a Nidus push. What are we gonna do on King's Cove? Now, this is a big macro map. If Dark wants to be aggressive, this is an opportunity for him, but I don't think he does. Although, to be fair, in the macro game so far, I've not been all too impressed. It's not like he's playing poorly. Just getting outclassed. Then again, it's dark. 4.5 minute lair this time. Yeah, if you try to study dark replays, nothing really makes sense. So he's gone for a 350 lair, 4 minute lair, 430 lair. He's doing a little bit of everything. I'm pretty sure Dark is sitting here hoping that now that his opponent has got 2 points on the board, we're gonna see like a, I don't know, a mech opener or like a battle cruiser play or something along those lines. None of that though the case here for Clem, just playing it as normal as possible. Double evolution chamber. Baneling nest. Yeah, crazy. Don't think we've seen a single Baneling nest yet. Banshee cloaking finishing up right now. Overseer not yet available because the lair was late. Hellions hunting down this group of drones if they can smell them. Ooh, that would be sick for it. Oh, gets a line of them. Another one. Yeah, okay, so now you're playing a macro game against Clem. For the first time in this series, we can like call this a really obvious advantage for him, right? Like, at least as far as early game aggression goes, this is by far the most successful attack from Clem. Maybe you could call the previous one with the Hellbat push even better, but I mean, he didn't get 16 drones, 17 drones. Apparently he's not done yet. 18 drones, 19 drones. Can we get a 20? Woo! Not bad. So what do you do now? Dark's been played into a corner though, and I do feel like this is where Dark gets dangerous. The man only has a couple of outs right now, and he's gonna have to play one of them. To be fair, I say that. He has been droning, so rather than making defensive units, he's just been hitting the drone button. And he's doing that weird Zerg thing where, like, yeah, you kill all their drones, but they're also replacing the drones pretty much immediately. So worker-wise, he's actually fine. And sometimes this leads to one of those weird overextensions from Terran, where Terran's like, I have just killed all of your workers. And then, by the time they get across the map, they're actually like 15 workers behind, and they go for what was intended as an all-in to finish the game, and then just go up against a way larger Zerg army than they were predicting. Like, when Zerg is droning, when Terran's being aggressive, it can sometimes really catch the Terrans off guard. Because the gut instinct of most players, at the very least, where you're under pressure, is to make defensive units. But sometimes the best choice you have is just to continue droning and go from there. Big thing right now, though, is that this is a Ling Bane-based army, and there's no Baneling speed. There's no 1-1. This expansion, and I love this positioning with the siege tank, super hard for the Terran, or for the Zerg rather, to hold on to. Like, this is not killed yet. Nah. Okay. But you don't really want to be engaging off nah. I mean, this is super costly. Dark cleans it up. Ish, sort of. But at what cost? Because Clem is like an ogre, you know? He's like an onion. He's got layers of aggression. He is not just gonna hang out here and do one little push. This is the momentum that he likes to build up in all of his games. This is when the APM goes up and when the game goes fast. He's gonna be able to easily pile on the pressure, and I think he's still gonna be able to get what he came for. He's playing it carefully. Another siege tank in the exact same spot. This is not a game where Dark has enough money to go for counterattacks, and there we go. Get out of my swamp! Screams Clem. No, okay, I'm done. Do you think Clem has ever seen Shrek? Pretty sure Shrek is older than Clem. Anyways. Aggression still going on. Siege tank has found another nasty position. Zergling push in the meantime on the other side of the map gets shut down. Banelings get sniped. Can Terran finally get shoved away? Okay, that was not the perfect fight right there for Terran, but I mean, Dark is still just getting overwhelmed here. There's really no easy way to put this. If Clem plays this out well, and he does this over and over and over again in basically all the games we see, there's essentially no stopping him. Widowmine's dealing a bit of friendly fire too. Now the hatchery over here in the middle is next. Drop in the meantime hitting the back of the third base of the Zerg player too. Queens, they have been running around for a long time, and Dark gets destroyed once more, but this time on King's Cove. And that takes us to Amygdala. Game number 6 in this best of 7 series, and also match point here for Clem. Now, fun fact, apparently Shrek released in 2001, and Clem in 2002. Well, I guess Clem wasn't technically, well, maybe technically he was. Anyways, doesn't matter. Shrek is actually older than Clem. Hey now, you're old. So, no, that was... Anyways, Queen's just about to pop. Oh, trying to get the luckies around. Lucky here for Clem, he decided to grease the Reaper in Vaseline before it left the barracks. Kept it going there. Triple CC opener. Factory's gonna finish up. Will we go for another barracks? Will we go into a starport? Will we do both? Will we do anything? Will we go AFK? We decide to go for a second barracks instead. So this is the build that he won game number 3 and 4 with. And it seems to be the I don't die to anything stupid build. That's maybe how you can categorize this. Now technically the triple CC 1-1-1 with Heli and Banshee, the one that we've seen Clem play in game number 2 and game number 5? Yes. Technically that's also a build that is designed to not die to anything stupid, but it is a build that Terrans have been a lot more aggressive with as of late. So they decide to move pretty deep with the Banshees and then also with the Hellions, and you know, it has potential for big rewards. When you don't really get anything with it, you do sort of fall behind a little bit, although I wonder if Terrans can just chill a bit and play it a bit more safely. Either way, this is a build where you don't have a lot of units to be aggressive with, at least not until like minute 5, not until Stimpack is done. So naturally, Clem is going to be able to keep a lot more alive. So, let's see. Where do we go from here? Do we have anything up our sleeves, Dark? Because I've got a feeling if you keep on doing this, you're going to die. Yeah. Because so far, over the last 3 games, Clem has looked ridiculously scary. I would say El Dorado was the one game where he still looked reasonably mortal, but everything else has been pretty nuts. Mengsk, protector of the people? I've never seen that poster before. Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. Great dude. Anyways. I saw a YouTube comment recently of somebody saying that their wife doesn't call me Loco, but whenever they listen to me, they call me anyways. So now every time I say the word anyways, I get self-conscious. Anyways, we're good. It's funny, like I used to have so many words that I would use repeatedly in every single StarCraft cast, and I've really eliminated the vast majority of them over the years. But I've got a feeling that anyways is not gonna go anywhere, even though it's technically not even correct English. Anyways, what can we do about it? It's gonna be a lair, together with a macro hatch and then a good old Baneling nest. Banelings with 1-1. I don't know, man. It's technically a good play. It's just not as good as it once was a bunch of years ago. And I feel like Clem has got so much practice against it. This is actually not a macro game in the strictest sense of the word right here for Clem, is it? We'll have to keep an eye out on exact... No, he may still add on a 4th command center in a moment. We'll have to keep an eye out. He may actually just commit to, well, just even more aggression. Got a lot of barracks coming. 1-1 is going to finish up. I thought for a second he was already going for barracks 6, 7, and 8. Not the case. He may still decide to throw down a 4th command center before doing so. Do we go second factory? No, we do actually go for a lot of aggression. Okay. So, this is 8 barracks off of 3 command centers. Looks like he just managed to not get a cancel, but a kill on a hatch. And this is effectively as close to an all-in as Clem ever plays in 2024, 5, 6, but 2028. This is as close to an all-in as Clem goes for in 2028. So, I wonder... So, it's one of those builds that you can expect from top-level Terrans. Like, for example, we've seen Oliveira famously win a bunch of games against Serral with this exact same strat. It's pretty great, but it's also something that Zergs can counter. The thing is, I think it's really strong when you rarely play it. Like somebody like Hero Marine, well known for doing 8 Rexes, he does it quite regularly. Clem doesn't really favor this style. So what you do, rather than throwing down a 4th command center, is you go for additional barracks sooner. So you usually go up to 8 Rex regardless in a macro game too, but now he builds them a lot quicker. Rather than a 4th CC, doesn't even go for any add-ons. He is just making a stupid amount of Marines. And men with gun, pretty scary. So let's see. Infantry armor and attacks are done. Dark's got 70 workers, so I wouldn't call this over-droning, but he did already lose a hatchery, and he hasn't been playing the cleanest game. Army right now for Clem is looking massive. Siege tank, though, can get sniped pretty easily. It looks like Clem is going to get deflected. Now, this is only a part of the Terran's army. Ooh, popping the little banelings. Not bad. In the meantime... Okay, he's been ready to deny a mineral line over here. There were no drones in the first place. This was dangerous, but at least it now also gave Dark the heads up that this is the attack that's happening. He doesn't really need to be scouting for this sort of thing now, because he can just see the sheer amount of production. So if you can one-on-one together, if you can put one-on-one together, he realizes here that there is about 0% chance that there is already a 4th command center. Although Clem could be going for it right about right now. On top of all of this aggression. There's multiples for a 4th base, though, as far as Dark setup goes. This expansion is going to go down. You could call this the first 4th base. And then we have another 4th base over here. And then another 4th base. Now, I know some of you would call those 5th and 6th bases. I disagree, okay? Those were backup 4ths. Which only makes sense when you watch the stupid amount of StarCraft. If you're silly like me. What? Whoa! Executions on Clem's side of the map. What? Sorry. Why did we just gun down the medevac with the siege tank inside of it? I think that was inside of it anyways. Dude. Has Clem finally gotten his letter to Hogwarts? And he just decided to go straight... Oh, Vada! Boom. Just killed it. Yeah. I don't know what the French version of Avada Kedavra is, but... Avada Kedavra? Something like that. Anyways, that seemed like an unnecessary play. But weakness is not tolerated in Clem's army. Massive Zergling counterattack right now. This is a lot. Actually very scary. This can kill a base very rapidly. Yeah. Reinforcing Terran units should be able to push back these lings eventually, but obviously those Zerglings can also go home for base defense. In the meantime, Clem has killed one of the 4th bases. He's gonna go for another one of them. No more siege tank available other than this one. And maybe Dark, if he collapses on top of this, can he clean all of this up? Terran doesn't really have much of a choice other than lift up and get on out of there. Good plays right there from Dark. Another kill on a hatchery, though, and that's sloppy. Yeah, we have seen 2 hatcheries just go down like that now. A little bit messy. Ooh, drones get caught on the transfer, too. Clem only at 49 workers. Clem actually struggling a little bit here, but he still has a massive army. I love that little map bug. Anyways. Siege tanks in the back. Marines in the front. Can we do a little bit of sniping over here? My god. Nanomuscular swell coming up once more for Dark. He loves that upgrade. I feel like you should always prioritize adrenal glands here. Right? Shouldn't you? Why would you go for the... This is such a garbage upgrade compared to adrenal glands. It's not like you... Okay, we're going Lurker then instead. Yeah. I guess he wants to play the long run. That's the goal. Problem is, he needs 8 gas in order to properly play a macro game, and he only has 6. Zergling run by once more attempted. This is a low eco game, though. Clem has not really remade a lot of his own SCVs, and he's actually just about to max out on 150 supply worth of army. That is a lot. Plus, it's a nice round number. Can we make one more Marine? Yay! 150 army, 50 SCVs. Jimmy gets to use his Stimpaks a little earlier than the rest. Zerg is a little deep off creep. Man. I like what Dark is doing overall. But if Clem is on top of it, it doesn't seem like he's beatable in a macro game. Just ridiculously dominant. And he's not gonna fall for another counterattack now. But 0% chance. Clem is just not allowing his opponent to ever get a 4th base up. That means that there is a little bit of gas to spend onto lurkers, but the lurkers are not done yet. Seismic Spines is coming up right now, important upgrade. Blinding Cloud goes down too, to try and get those Marines off his lawn. One of the Vipers, okay, could be targeted down. He's actually trying to jump this before the lurkers are out. Very dangerous play. Only 2 lurkers remain. We're gonna go full Beyond on this army instead. I mean, I guess when you can kill all of the opponent's lurkers and Vipers with Marines and Medivacs alone, must mean that you've got a pretty good amount of them. GG gets called. And just like that, it's Clem who wins 4 maps back to back to back to back over Dark. Ridiculous. GG's.